Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the car that started the electric vehicle revolution officially gets the axe. New York City admits it's facing a recession-level crisis, while millions just vanish into thin air, and Nicki Minaj completes one of the most confusing political pivots in pop culture history. We are looking at a day defined by what really feels like a massive systemic reset. It's not just news, it's a shift in the underlying physics of how the world works. Legacy tech is dying right before our eyes. Cities are hitting a fiscal wall, and we're seeing these strange, unexpected alliances forming in real time. It feels like the board is being flipped over.
It really does. Look, the theme we are looking at today is classic creative destruction, but on a steroid cycle we haven't seen before.
Right.
We are watching the old revenue models, whether that's selling luxury sedans or how major cities collect taxes, literally breaking down. They aren't just bending, they're snapping. And in their place, you have these incredibly risky, high-stakes bets trying to take over.
We're talking robots.
Robots replacing cars, AI automation replacing junior employees, and a complete political realignment. It is messy, it is volatile, and quite frankly, it's fascinating.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the lead story because for anyone who follows tech or cars, this feels like the end of an era. We're looking at a breaking update from @Nacruzpaten regarding the Tesla Q4 earnings call. Elon Musk dropped a bomb. The Model S and the Model X production is officially ending in Q2 2026.
The honorable discharge.
That is exactly what they are calling it, an honorable discharge. But let's be real for a second. This is the car that built the brand. Before the Model S, electric cars were what? Glorified golf carts.
Pretty much.
The Model S made EVs cool. It feels incredibly aggressive to just kill it.
It sounds poetic to call it a discharge, but when you strip away the sentimentality and look at the numbers, it is just ruthless, cold efficiency. You have to look at the context here. Earnings dropped 17%. That is a sting.
A big sting.
But the real killer statistic, and this is what drives the decision, is that the Model S and Model X, these are the halo cars, the status symbols, right? They only made up 1.5% of deliveries in 2025.
1.5%. That's it. That is almost a rounding error.
Exactly. It's negligible. So think about it from a manufacturing standpoint. You have these massive production lines, all this complexity, supply chains, custom parts, all for a sliver of the volume. Musk is looking at this spreadsheet and saying, why are we doing this?
Right.
It is a pivot away from being a car company that sells luxury sedans to something else entirely. He is killing the halo products because, quite simply, they don't scale anymore. And scale is the only religion left at Tesla.
And that's something else is where it gets really interesting, or maybe terrifying, depending on how much sci-fi you watch. I saw this clip from the official @Tesla Optimus account. It's this slick animation where a bronze Model S literally morphs, Transformer style, into a robot.
The symbolism was not subtle. It was a statement of intent.
Not at all. And they aren't closing the Fremont factory, which is historic in itself. They are gutting it to repurpose the space for Optimus robot output. The target is 1 million units.
This is the gamble of the century. I don't think people realize how risky this is. Think about what is happening here. You are trading actual cars products that exist, that people drive, that generate revenue today.
Yeah.
For a humanoid robot, a product that, let's be honest, has not sold yet at scale. There's no consumer market for this yet.
But the revenue projections are insane. The context on that post mentioned projected revenue for the robot is 10 to 50 times that of the cars.
That's the carrot, right?
Projected. That is the key word, doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It is vaporware versus hardware right now. I mean, sure, the drive units and the batteries from the cars are going into the robot, so there is some technological continuity. But from a business perspective, you are shutting down a proven revenue stream for a hypothetical one. It creates this massive gap. If the robot timeline slips, and let's be real, Musk's timelines tend to slip, what fills that revenue hole? That's fair. We're still waiting on the Roadster, right? But someone who doesn't seem worried about the revenue hole or the timelines is Sean McGuire from Sequoia Capital. Did you see this thread from @SawyerMerritt and @MollySochet?
I did. The numbers are staggering.
Sean McGuire dropped a bombshell. He said he's invested $1.2 billion in Musk's companies since 2019, SpaceX, XAI, Neuralink, the whole portfolio. And that stake, it is now worth $12 billion.
A 10x return in roughly 6 years.
Incredible.
And that is exactly why the market forgives the vaporware risk we just talked about. McGuire's point in that interview was fascinating, even if it sounded a bit like hyperbole. He argues that Musk only gets 10% of the appreciation he deserves.
Hold on. Underappreciated. The guy is worth $300 billion. He owns the biggest social media platform, a rocket company, and a car company. If the market appreciated him anymore, he'd own the actual moon. That sounds like typical VC hype to pump their own book, doesn't it?
It does sound like that, I'll give you that. But look at what McGuire's actually betting on. It's not the cars. You mentioned Starlink specifically. Do you know what it costs to lay fiber optic cable to a rural farmhouse?
Oh, tens of thousands, easily. Digging trenches is expensive.
Try millions in some difficult terrain. Starlink does it for a terminal that costs under $1,000. McGuire's argument isn't about Musk's ego or his tweets. It's about the physics monopoly. He's saying Musk is the only one solving hardware problems at a software pace.
Right.
That isn't just a good product. That is a monopoly on infrastructure. McGuire sees first principles thinking applied to space, to tunnels, to AI.
So the argument is that the market is pricing in perfection because he keeps delivering on the impossible stuff eventually.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
there was a disconnect. McGuire's a VC. He can wait 10 years for a payoff. He has patient capital. The public markets usually want quarterly results. So when you kill the Model S A revenue generator to build a robot that might sell in 2027, the VCs cheer, but the day traders might panic. It is the clash of time horizons.
Speaking of panic and time horizons, let's pivot to the macroeconomy. Because while Tesla is planning for a sci-fi future, New York City is dealing with a very grim, very present reality.
Yeah, this is the hard news segment. And it is ugly.
I was reading this update from @TheChiefNerd. We need to pivot to the East Coast because the signal coming out of New York City right now is alarming. Mayor Zoran Mamdani has come out and explicitly declared a fiscal crisis at the scale of the Great Recession.
That is a terrifying sentence for any New Yorker to hear. Great Recession isn't a phrase you throw around lightly.
Exactly. You don't scream fire in a crowded theater unless the curtains are actually burning. And his solution, he says they need to look for savings, sure, but the main lever he wants to pull is raising taxes on wealthy New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations.
And this is the classic death spiral dynamic. We've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. You have a recession or a fiscal crisis, so the tax revenue drops because people are making less money. To fix it, you raise taxes on the people who have the most mobility, the rich, and the corporations.
And what happens? They just sit there and pay it.
Of course not. They leave. We call it capital flight. We saw it happen in California. We saw it in Illinois. If you tax the rich to fund a crisis, they just move to Florida or Texas, where the tax rate is 0. And then your tax base shrinks even more, so you have to raise taxes again on the few people left. It is a feedback loop that destroys the city's budget.
The context on that post was just brutal. People were pointing out the irony. You campaign on all these free services and expansive social programs, but then you hit the wall of fiscal reality.
That is the creative destruction of the public sector. The old model of tax and spend works when the economy is booming and interest rates are 0. When you hit a Great Recession level event, that model breaks.
Yeah.
And unlike the federal government, NYC can't just print more money.
Right.
They actually have to balance the books.
And it's not just about money coming in, it's about where the money is going. We have to talk about this fraud story out of Minnesota because it connects directly to why people hate tax hikes. This made my blood boil.
This is the second-order effect of bad management.
@Nick Shirley posted this expose. It's a massive Medicaid fraud scheme. We are talking about one single building in Minneapolis that houses over 22 healthcare providers.
Wait, pause. 22 providers in one building. Like a hospital?
No, that's the crazy part. It looks like a regular office building. And collectively, these providers have billed taxpayers $380 million. The investigator in the video estimated just from this site alone, there's probably $30 million in pure fraud.
Wow.
We're talking pre-signed forms, services never provided, billing for people who aren't even there.
And 0 oversight. That is the key. It isn't just that people are stealing. It is that the system is designed in a way that makes it easy to steal.
The video showed the investigator walking around and the staff were just completely evasive, running away from the camera. And get this, no arrests yet.
That is the systemic failure. You have cities like NYC claiming they are broke and need to tax you more, telling you it's for the greater good. While simultaneously, you have hundreds of millions of dollars linking out the back door in places like Minnesota due to absolute incompetence and a total lack of oversight.
It makes you wonder how many other buildings like that exist across the country.
Probably a lot. And that connects back to the NYC story. Citizens are losing trust. They see the waste, they see the fraud, and then they get asked to pay more taxes. That social contract is fraying. Why would I pay more taxes to solve a crisis if I think you're just going to let it get stolen?
It really is a crisis of confidence. Okay, let's shift gears to something a little more optimistic, or at least faster. We talked about cars dying, but what about cars flying?
The hardware innovation. This is the cool stuff.
I love this clip from @XPENG. This is the CEO of XPENG. He literally flew his car, the X3 eVTOL, to their annual conference.
Talk about making an entrance. That beats a PowerPoint presentation any day.
He gave this whole view of the tech park from the sky. And they are targeting steady growth for 2026 to 2028.
This highlights a massive competitive angle that we ignore in the West. We are bogged down with the FAA and safety regulations and red tape. Meanwhile, China is speeding up certification. The Post mentioned it's the year of the horse, so they are going full horsepower.
I see what they did there, but does it matter? I mean, is it just a toy?
It matters immensely. They were treating this as physical AI. It's not just a drone, it's a transportation revolution. While we are arguing about whether Tesla should kill the Model S, XPENG is putting cars in the air. If they get the certification and the flight hours before the U.S. companies do, they own the standard.
But the real speed right now isn't in hardware, it's in software. We have a couple of updates that suggest software eating the world is accelerating. First up, @Lovable. They released an update claiming their AI is 71% better at complex tasks.
71% is a huge jump. In software terms, that's generational.
They showed a demo where the AI is building apps, doing browser testing, queuing prompts without humans involved. It's autonomous coding.
And this pairs perfectly with the other update from Chima. He's running Kimi K2.5, which is a massive model locally on Mac Studios.
When you say locally, for the non-coders listening, that means it's not talking to the internet, right?
Exactly. And this is the Blinkist takeaway here. Privacy. Right now, a law firm or a hospital can't really use ChatGPT because they can't upload sensitive patient data or client secrets to OpenAI servers.
Right. That's a high-paid nightmare waiting to happen.
Precisely. But if you were running Kimi K2.5 on a Mac Studio sitting on your desk, that data never leaves the room. 24 tokens per second sounds technical, but it basically means the AI types faster than you can read. It's real-time intelligence, totally offline. That unlocks the enterprise market in a way the cloud can't.
And then you have @Dvor showing off Grok. She put in a prompt in French asking for an animation of a woman on a flower, and Grok not only animated it, but had the character speaking in French with the correct lip sync. Oh, it's so sweet. I feel so light and happy here.
Exactly.
So let's connect these dots. On one hand, you have @Lovable saying, we don't need developers to build apps anymore. On the other hand, you have Grok saying, we don't need translators or animators. And then you have Kemi saying, you don't even need a cloud subscription. You can do it on your desk.
So what does that mean for the job market?
It means the barrier to entry is gone, but so are the junior jobs. If I can build a production-ready app by just chatting with Lovable, why do I need to hire a junior dev? We are seeing the automation of the knowledge worker happening in real time. It's the same ruthless efficiency Musk is applying to the factory floor, but applied to the office cubicle.
That is a sobering thought. We're automating the entry-level jobs out of existence.
Yeah.
But it's not just the job market that's shifting. The culture is shifting, too. And this brings us to our final segment, the vibe shift.
The pop politics crossover. This is where things get surreal. I never thought I'd see this, but here we are. @Nicki Minaj and @Katie Miller. Nicki Minaj posted a TikTok with Donald Trump. She called herself the Queen of Rap and him the President.
And she is collaborating with Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's spouse. For those who don't follow the inner circle of politics, Stephen Miller is the architect of the hardline immigration policies. This is not a subtle endorsement. This is a full-blown alliance.
The context here is wild. She's calling herself his #1 fan.
This is what we call a realignment. Historically, hip-hop culture and the MAGA movement were on opposite sides of the spectrum. But we are seeing these pop culture icons who are incredibly influential, alienating their historical fan bases to embrace this new demographic.
It definitely feels like the culture war lines are being redrawn. It's no longer just politicians arguing. It's celebrities crossing lines we didn't think they would cross. Why is she doing this?
It's risky for her brand, obviously. The backlash in the hip-hop circles is real. But she is betting that the vibe has shifted enough that this is actually a winning move. She's betting that her audience cares more about the rebel energy of Trump than the traditional party lines.
And speaking of defining that vibe, we have to touch on @ElonClipsX. They posted a viral clip of Elon Musk defining his far-right views.
Right. He lists things like safe cities, secure borders, sensible spending.
And he asks, tell me where I'm going far-right here.
This is the battle over definitions. It is the Overton window shifting, what Musk calls common sense or just basic constitutional respect. His critics, and you see this in the replies, call racist dog whistles.
The gap between those two interpretations is massive. One side hears safe cities, the other side hears oppressive policing.
It is. But the fact that these definitions are moving mainstream, that Musk and Nicki Minaj are amplifying this specific worldview, shows that the vibe shift isn't just a Twitter trend. It is a political reality. The center is moving. The definitions of left and right are being rewritten in real time, just like the definitions of car company and tech company.
So we have a world where cars are robots, cities are broke, AI is writing code, and Nicki Minaj is Magie.
It's a lot to process. It feels like the simulation is glitching.
It really does. So bringing it all back home, what does this mean for tomorrow? I need a prediction.
Okay, if we connect the NYC fiscal crisis with the Minnesota fraud and the general tax the rich sentiment, my prediction is real estate.
Real estate.
Specifically luxury real estate in low-tax states. With NYC announcing a great recession-level crisis and explicit tax hikes, I think starting tomorrow you're going to see a surge in listings in New York and a surge in buying in Florida and Texas. The capital flight isn't a theory anymore. The mayor just fired the starting gun. If you have assets, you are looking for the exit door right now.
So get your U-Hauls ready, folks.
Pretty much. Don't be the last one holding the bag.
All right, that's the dive for today. Keep your vibes checked and your portfolios hedged. See you tomorrow.
Don't get regulated.